All right, welcome back to ABA exam review. Today we're continuing our RBT exam practice question series with the next set of questions that we'll go through together and break down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please subscribe. If you're looking for our proven study materials, check out btexamreview.com. 3 practice exams, our task list, study guide, and of course our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in our Sunday shout out. Other than that, let's work hard, study hard, get to our questions. Question 1. If you have 6 different items and you want to conduct a paired choice preference assessment, how would you correctly conduct the assessment? Now, typically for preference assessment questions, we would just kind of ask ourselves, okay, how many items or do we have and what are we trying to accomplish? In this case, the question gives you both of those, right? You know how many items we have and you know what kind of assessment you need to do. So you have to go one step further and actually think about how would I conduct the assessment if I had to do a paired choice with 6 items. A, present the first item with the other 5 items and record what the learner chose. Now, what's wrong with A? Well, what's wrong with A is you're only pairing the first item with the other items. With a paired choice or a forced choice assessment, we have to pair every single item with every other item available. So all 6 items have to be paired with all 5 other items at least once. B, present each item individually until you've presented all items. Now, this is much more like a single choice preference assessment. You're not pairing anything here, so B can't be it. C, present each item with every other item and record what the learner chose. This is what we're looking for. Now we're taking all of our items and presenting them together all at least once. D, present all the items at the same time and have the learner choose to. Well, presenting all the items at the same time is like a multiple stimulus assessment, but there's nothing where we would make them choose to. So D is out altogether. The only one that matches the paired choice preference assessment would be C. You're going to present each item with every other item and record what the learner chose. James used to bartend to make money while he was in school. His old manager asked him to come bartend one night just for fun at the same bar where he used to work. James agrees and has a great night. James' behavior most represents what? All right, let's think about this. We're looking at James's behavior. We know James used to bartend. His old manager said, hey, why don't you come back and bartend at the same bar you used to work? So James bartended, he stopped bartending, and now he's going back to bartend where he used to work. What does James has to do to make sure he can still bartend? Well, those skills need to be able to maintain. So if James is able to go back to the old bar after not bartending for a while and still bartend, his skill has maintained. So A, response generalization. Has James generalized his response? Not necessarily, right? It's the same bar, it's the same manager, all the same things. He's not really generalizing his skills, okay? Stimulus generalization, same thing. He's still in the same bar, serving the same drinks with the same manager. He's not necessarily generalizing responses or stimuli. However, he is demonstrating maintenance, right? He used to bartend. He learned how to do it. He could do it. He stopped for a long time, didn't get any teaching. And then he goes back and he still can bartend, even with a long gap and no teaching. That is exactly what maintenance looks like. So James's behavior most represents what? C, maintenance. A new donut shop opened down the street from my house. I went last week and got a specialty donut, but the last 3 times I've gone, they have been all out. What is occurring here? All right, let's think about this. What is occurring here? Well, we're looking at my behavior, okay, in relation to this donut shop. And we know they just opened down the street. I went last week, got a donut, and then I've gone back. So clearly, getting the donut was positive reinforcement because my behavior continued, right? I kept going and going. However, when I continued to go, they've been all out. So I was not able to get the donut. Think about that. The first time I went, I got the donut, which served as positive reinforcement for my behavior. The last 3 times, the donut has been unavailable. It's been withheld. And if you're withholding reinforcement for a previously reinforced behavior, like going to the donut shop, what is happening? A, extinction. Yes, my behavior is now on extinction. My going to the donut shop to get that donut is on extinction because I go to the donut shop and the donut is not there. My reinforcement is now withheld. B, extinction burst. Well, my behavior has not increased in intensity, okay? It hasn't increased in frequency. It's not quite to the extinction burst point yet, Okay. Remember, an extinction burst occurs as a result of extinction where the intensity, the magnitude, frequency of that behavior goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up, right? We're not there yet. The behavior is simply on extinction. Spontaneous recovery happens post extinction. Once the behavior has already been decreased, a sudden reemergence would be considered spontaneous recovery. And then positive punishment. Well, I go to the donut shop. They're not punishing me in any way, right? They're not adding anything to decrease my behavior. They're simply withholding the reinforcement of the donut. So what is occurring here? Well, A, extinction. Jace received a toy monster truck for Christmas. He played with it for almost 5 hours straight and did not touch it again for almost a week. What likely occurred in the scenario? All right, so think about what is happening here. Jace gets this toy monster truck for Christmas. He's super excited. He loves playing with it, plays with it for 5 hours straight, but then doesn't play with it again for a week. So think about what possibly could have occurred. Well, if you do something over and over again, right, no matter how much you like it, eventually you may get tired of it. Okay. And when we quote unquote get tired of something or quote unquote it kind of loses its value, what do we call that? A, Jace was satiated on the toy. Yes, Jace is experiencing satiation, right? Satiation is a way to view motivating operations. When the value decreases, okay, we can say we're satiated on it. Jace played with it so much that eventually the satiation kicked in and the value decreased. B, Jace was deprived of the toy. Well, he's not deprived. Deprived is the opposite of satiated, right? Because he has free access to this toy. He's not deprived. It's not being withheld. C, Jace no longer likes the toy. Well, we can never assume that, right? Likes isn't very behavioral, okay? We don't ever say, well, they just don't like it anymore. That doesn't offer up a behavioral explanation. So don't pick C. And D, the toy no longer serves as a reinforcer. Well, we're not sure if it was ever a reinforcer in the first place. We know it was a preference, but a preference doesn't make it a reinforcer, right? So we can't say D for sure or not for sure, so we can't pick D. All we know for sure is that Jace is probably satiated on the toy, right? He played 5 hours straight, doesn't touch it again for almost a week. The value has gone down. You are instructed to use a high P, low P request sequence to evoke the behavior of washing a dirty dish. What are you trying to accomplish through this sequence? What sequence is this question referring to? Well, it's referring to the high P, low P request sequence. And when you're running a high P, low P request sequence, what are you trying to accomplish? What is the goal of a high probability, low probability request sequence? Well, one, you're trying to evoke a behavior you want to see. And two, you're trying to build momentum. A, you want to increase the value of a reinforcer. The high P, low P sequence doesn't necessarily alter the value of a reinforcer. B, you want to establish behavior momentum. Good, right? High P, low P request sequence deals in behavior momentum because we give a high P demand, we give a high P demand, we give a high P demand, momentum, 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 and then we go low P, right? We've built up momentum, built it up, built it up, built it up, and then we introduce the low P request. C, you want to decrease behavior momentum? No, we're not decreasing it, right? We're trying to establish it or increase it. And then D, you're using the opportunity to engage in a preferred activity as reinforcement. Well, that is actually the pre-map principle, right? Pre-map principle is almost the opposite of the high P, low P sequence. So notice for each question, we are going through every answer choice. We're not just stopping at the first one we like. You have to go and read every single answer choice, okay? What are we trying to accomplish through a high P, low P request sequence? Well, we want to establish behavior momentum. One day, you, a behavior technician, arrives at session as planned. However, when you walk inside, the client's mom asks you to leave and says they no longer want ABA therapy. What should you do? This is a difficult question as an RBT, right? Because it's not necessarily your role to make these decisions. But you didn't make the decision. Who did? The client's mom. And the code, our ethical code, says that clients and stakeholders have the right to terminate services at any time. So if you're in this situation where you, a behavior technician, you go to session, you walk inside, and the client's mom says you need to leave, we don't want therapy, what do you do as the technician? It's a very tough spot. A, inform the parent that you must complete your shift. Well, no, because it is their right to not have it. B, remain at the house and attempt to work with the parent to figure out an alternate plan. That is not your role, right? This is not your role. That should be your supervisor's role. C, leave the house and contact your supervisor immediately. Yes, right? The most simple answer is often the right answer. Leave the house, comply with the mom's wishes, and then contact your supervisor immediately. D, leave the house and inform your supervisor the next time you see them. That's waiting too long, right? The code emphasizes communication that is frequent and that is prompt. Okay. We want to promptly communicate with the supervisor. In this case, you would leave the house and contact the supervisor immediately. Why is response blocking not considered an extinction procedure? So think about what response blocking is. With response blocking, we are physically preventing a learner from engaging in a response. And why is this not considered extinction? A, response blocking is not an intervention behavior technicians use. Well, that's just not true, right? Behavior technicians absolutely use response blocking, only as planned, though. B, the learner must be allowed to engage in the response for extinction to work. Yes, if the learner cannot engage in the behavior, you can't withhold reinforcement. You have to understand that, right? In order to withhold reinforcement, the response must occur. In order for the response to occur, the learner must be able to engage in that response. So if we block the response, we can't withhold reinforcement. C, response blocking is a reinforcement procedure. It is not. D, response blocking is an extinction procedure. It is not. The reason response blocking is not extinction is the learner must be allowed to engage in the response for extinction to work. Argentina and France scored 6 goals in 90 minutes. What is the rate of goal scoring in the match? All right, so simple rate question, right? What is the ratio for rate? It is frequency over time. So all you're going to do is put your frequency, 6, over time, which is 90. So 6 over 90. And then you can just reduce from there. So does that come out to 1 goal per 15 minutes? It absolutely does, right? That's all rate is, right? Frequency per time. What about 2 goals per 30 minutes? Again, absolutely. What about 6 goals per 60 minutes? Well, we know that's not the case because we had 6 goals per 90 minutes. So 1 goal per 15 minutes, yes. 2 goals per 90 minutes, yes. 6 goals per 60 minutes, no. So our answer is going to be D, A, and B. Rate is very simple, right? It's just frequency over time. And then you reduce and you find what per what, right? Frequency per time. Great. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Let us know when you pass your exam so we can include you in our Sunday shout out. As always, work hard, study hard. See you soon.